Let's check out round 5 of Mike McCallum versus James Toney. I believe we're going to see a couple new patterns this round, so yeah, let's get into it. Okay, Mike's going to snap off his jab, and we're going to see James parry and pull. Now Mike resets. He's going to double up his jab, and we're going to see James parry and pull, but then he's going to add a drop right there. Now, James is going to get back to this lead foot and check out this rear hand cover. Now this is interesting. James is going to jab, but check out this lead hand down parry by Mike right there. And then we're going to see that again. Check out again that lead hand down parry. Then James is going to look for that body. So Mike's going to fire out this jab, and we're going to see James parry right there. Then Mike's going to look for the body and check out that down parry by James. All right, James is going to fold out his jab, and again, we're going to see this lead hand down parry by Mike. And one more thing to hone in on, check out how Mike keeps his rear hand in play. Then we'll see some feints. Okay, this is a neat sequence. So James is going to snap off this jab as Mike slips in looking for this lead hook to the body. Now, what's neat is the fact that James read it and is shifting his weight back towards his lead foot. Now, James is going to reset, throw out his jab as Mike parries and pulls. Now, James is going to follow up with his rear cross, and Mike catches him coming in with his lead. Then he's going to follow up with this rear cross as James gets stuck on that lead foot. Now, James is going to fold out his jab as Mike pulls. Now, James was looking to set up this lead hook to the body, but we'll see Mike pendulum off his rear foot away from James. Then we're going to see a jab by James right here. So Mike's going to snap off this jab as James parries and pulls. Now he's going to look to double it up, and check out how James looks to get back to that lead foot right here. And note this rear hand cover. And then we're going to see one more jab by Mike. All right, James is going to fold out his jab as Mike parries and pulls. Now Mike's going to come back looking for the body and check out that down parry by James. Now Mike's going to go up top right here. And then one more time, we're going to see this lead hand parry by Mike. And then we get some movement. Okay, James will jab as Mike pulls. And Mike will feint right here. Now, Mike's going to look for the body right above James's low guard and catch him there. A couple more feints, some movement. Now, this is a neat sequence. James is going to throw his jab, rear cross, as Mike slips in and looks to throw his lead hook. So the first beat is this jab and Mike slipping in. And the second beat will be the rear cross from James, and Mike will throw his lead hook, or rather check hook. Now the question is who's going to transition quicker, or rather, who wins the race? And the answer is James. Now, Mike's going to go ahead and fold out this jab as James pulls to his rear foot and comes back with his rear cross, and we're going to see Mike drop straight down. Now, Mike's going to come back with this rear hook, and then we're going to see James drop right here. And this is cool to see. They're both concerned about each other's counters, and then they both drop. So James and Mike are going to throw their jabs on the same beat, and what's interesting is how they defend each other's jabs. James is going to slip outside, putting himself on the right side of his line, and there's a reason for this, while Mike catches it with his head over that lead foot. And the reason for James slipping to the outside is because he's looking to follow up with his rear cross, while because Mike's head is over that lead foot, he'll have somewhere to pull, which is his rear foot, to avoid that rear cross. All right, Mike will jab as James parries and pulls, and then Mike's going to double it up and check out this drop by James. And then finally, here comes the triple jab, and note how James gets back to this lead foot, and then he'll have that parry right there. Then we're going to restart the sequence, another parry pull, and then one more for good measure. We'll have some movement. James will try to catch Mike crossing the line right there. Okay, Mike will jab as James parries and pulls. And then James is going to throw his jab, rear cross, as Mike pulls, then drops. And then we'll have a tie-up, then a break. Now, Mike's looking for this little hole that the low guard creates, but James will close it up with his down parry. Now, Mike's going to go ahead and get to this lead foot right here, and then he's going to throw his leaping hook, rear cross, and we're going to see James pull, then drop. And then we're going to have another tie up. They'll break themselves. So Mike's looking for that body shot again, and we'll see another down parry by James. And then we'll get some feints. More movement. All right, this is another fun sequence. Mike's going to throw out his jab, baiting over his lead foot. Now, James is going to counter his lead as Mike pulls to his rear foot. And then he's going to push off this rear foot, catching James with this jab. And then he's going to double it up, catching him a second time. But let's hone in on James. He's going to weave from this lead foot to his rear foot right here. Then he's going to take a big step with this lead foot to throw his rear cross. Mike will pull and then come back with his own rear straight. Okay, James is going to snap out his jab as Mike begins to pendulum to his right. Now he's going to shift his weight to his left foot right here, throwing his leaping hook. And note the pull by James. James is going to throw his rear hand as Mike pulls. And then we're going to see Mike pendulum to the left, hitting the brakes in his orthodox stance, pulling from James's leaping hook. James will throw out a jab right here, and Mike will move to the left, catching James with his own. Now they'll time each other on the same beat, and then Mike's going to double it up as James parries, then parries and pulls. So James will jab high and note the pull by Mike, then jab to the body. Then James is going to fire out his jab as Mike pulls. All right, Mike's going to go to the body and check out the spot. It's right above that low lead hand. Now, Mike's going to get to this lead foot, snap out his jab as James drops, and he's going to come back with his overhand, and we'll see Mike drop as well. Another tie up. They'll both drop right here. Some feints. Okay, James will jab high, then low as Mike pulls. Then he's going to spring off this rear foot to pendulum away. Mike will fire off his jab as James parries and pulls. We'll see some feints and movement. Now James will push off this rear foot, lift his lead, and snap off his jab as Mike pulls. Now Mike's going to counter the same deal, pushing off this rear foot, folding out two jabs as James pulls, then drops. He'll look for his rear cross as Mike pulls to his rear foot. And then James is going to get back to this lead foot right here to throw his leaping uppercut. So Mike's going to fold out his jab, and he's going to drop under James's lead hand counter. And this is pretty neat. James is going to follow up with his rear cross, and Mike's going to leap off this rear foot a second time, getting underneath. Now, Mike's going to go to the body right here and check out the down parry by James. All right, this is another fun one. Mike is going to jab as James pulls. Then Mike's going to double it up, and we're going to see James drop. Now, James is going to come back with his uppercut, then lead hook, and note the pull by Mike. Mike's going to jab as James pulls, then drops. Now, Mike's going to start attacking James on this back foot. He'll jab as James parries. Mike's going to look to double it up, and James drops. He's going to come back with his overhand. And then we'll see some pendulum steps by James, and then a jab, and then another pendulum step. Okay, Mike will catch James with his jab, and then he's going to look to double it up as James drops. Now, James will come back with his overhand as Mike pulls, and then he's going to look to counter with his own uppercut. Then we'll have a tie-up, a break. We'll get some movement. And that's the end of round 5.